So there's a video that has gone viral that about a girl hitting another girl in school. And from the arrangement, you can see that this is a senior to junior thing. And there's a whole lot to unpack in that video. And I want to attempt to unpack a few. The first one I want to unpack is the fact that girls can be cruel and very wicked. That video is just one evidence. In 1993, I got admission into secondary school at Federal Government Girls College, Calabar. And I tell you, I've met the most wicked human beings in the bodies of teenagers in that school. The class of 93 and the class of 94 in Federal Government Girls College, Calabar had a number of girls that were terrible. They were the good ones, but many times the good ones were not assertive. They couldn't stand up for juniors. It was they had to accept what their mates were doing. But I met wicked girls. I met callous girls who could dehumanize people. I met girls who punished other people just because they could. You know, we're grown women now and we're matured now. We can't call names anymore because we want to believe that who people were in secondary school, they outgrew it. But I want to take us back to that incident that happened. We have a problem on our hands as parents. We are the ones raising the cruel, wicked, destructive girls. It's us. We are the ones raising them. And for many of us, we started out telling them to stand up for themselves. We wanted them to not abuse other people. But we didn't tell them not to. We wanted other people to not abuse them. We did not want them to be victims of bullies. We wanted them to be assertive. But we failed to teach them that there are boundaries. And there needs to be emotional regulations. And there are consequences when you violate the boundaries of other people. Slapping somebody is violating their boundary. Pushing them is violating their boundary. Spreading rumors, maligning people, inciting people against people is abusing their boundaries. For many of us, we know that our children are capable of those kinds of things. But we feel, let her be like that too, so that she can stand up for herself. What about people she's torturing? The first thing I want you to note in this video is that don't raise the bully and don't raise the one that is collecting that slap. I used to be that mother that wanted civil behavior all the time, and I continue to insist on that. But here's what I've taught my daughters: walk out of such scenarios. Stay away from interaction with people that are like that. But most importantly, stand up for yourself. You get the idea? Stand up for yourself. My daughter went to a school where one of the schools I love the most, the school owner made a statement I'll never forget. She said, Irene, wherever humans gather, the strong will always prey on the weak. Make sure you're not raising the weak one. But raise the strong one that does not break the weak. Conscientize the strong one. Build empathy for the strong one. Build self-honor and honor for others on the strong one so that they don't feed off the weak. Dear parents, don't raise either of them. But let me end this video, which is like a direct note to the schools. Don't suspend that girl. Don't expel her. It's a waste. It is so sad that in Nigeria, you can expel a child in one school and another school will receive that child with open hands. Expulsion worked where schools will reject the child and parents will be stranded that they don't have where to go. But we are not like that. It's not entrenched in Nigeria. You can expel a child and a child will be admitted in another school without a transfer certificate. There are schools that will forge transfer certificate for money. So what I'm saying is, don't expel the child. Don't suspend the child. Because the focus should be on correcting that child's mindset, that child's habits, that child's behavior. So I always tell schools, keep back the child in school, exclude them from learning activities, and get a therapist into that school. A high-end expert therapist into the school to help that child, because unfortunately the parents cannot help that child. When they get the child out of the system, their first inclination is to cover up the child or look for another school that can take in the child, without realizing that the fact that the child is advancing academically does not mean that they are changing, does not mean that they are making any behavioral improvement. And unfortunately, behavior is powerful. Behavior can make a mess of every effort that you've made to send your child to school. Your child's behavior can pull apart everything you've worked for. But many parents don't know that. Many parents are indulging. Many parents feel like, I don't know where we got this theory that because we want to show our children we love them and we support them, we'll be there for them. We don't know that allowing children go through correctional experiences, especially those ones that are systemic, helps them improve, shifts their mindset, opens them to a new way of thinking, and helps correct the behavior. We think that loving them means that your child killed somebody and you've hired a lawyer to cover up, to do this, to do that. You've flown the child abroad to go to school. I would have said that it will catch up with you and your family. But I discovered that, how we used to say that this child will bring you shame. This child will bring you shame. I'm beginning to see, looking at social media, that what brings people shame is relative. Something that will give Irene absolute shame will give another person no shame. In fact, their parents looking at that video and say, God, she's strong. This is the kind of person to leave your company to stand up to. Yeah, she's a strong girl. I mean, let's look at the positive side. Let's look at the strength. So shame is relative. For the sake of the child and their future, school should keep that child back in school and get a therapist. Get a therapist. Get psychologists to check that girl. That girl is mentally deranged. That girl has a mental problem. And then when we finish, let's talk about the boys that were bystanders. The boys that were bystanders are cowards. They were also scared of the girl. They were also scared of the girl. And that school has a culture problem where girls or students think that the others have a right to do that. There are too many moving parts on that story. But let me just leave it here. This video is long enough. Bye.